and welcome to the show. Today we're having a look inside McLaren Vale's latest standout attraction. And believe me, the view is not the only eye-opener here. But first, here's a look at what else is in the show. Callum checks out Adelaide's latest food trend, a Hawaiian treat that's quite a mouthful.
Poke.
Poke?
Poke. Yes.
Okay, do you know what it is?
No.
Michael's tips on how to achieve the gardening good life.
Great ideas for your garden.
But first, here's Hazy.
Granite Island is famous for its iconic horse-drawn tram, its huge granite boulders, and the little penguins that call this place home. But recently, there's been some fishy business going on here. You might remember the popular Swim with the Tuna experience at Port Lincoln. Well, now it's here, located just a stone's throw from the Granite Island jetty. Oceanic Victor offers visitors the chance to immerse themselves in a purpose-built sea aquarium, and I, for one, can't wait to get amongst it.
So we're about to jump in with these guys. These tuna are southern bluefin. There's about 40 of them in there. They've been described as the Ferraris of the ocean because they're that quick. So we'll see if we can get near them.
If you can snorkel, then this experience is for you, no matter what your age. The average fish in the aquarium currently weighs around 40 kilos, but they can grow upwards of 150 kilos and live decades.
They're very big boys.
I've got to say, when you're looking eye to fishy eye, tuna are awesome creatures. A speeding torpedo with its sights set on plucking that pilchard right from your hand. Their agility and stealth is just mind-blowing. Never mind Ferraris, these guys are more like freight trains. All the staff out here are marine biologists, so they really know their stuff. Peter Priest loves sharing his passion for the ocean with visitors.
This is a unique opportunity to jump in the water with some local South Australian aquatic species, have a really good time, great experience, and learn a bit about South Australian aquaculture and fisheries at the same time. It's a really important commercial fishery in South Australia, an industry worth millions of dollars annually. These guys come from that fishery, but having said that, these fish will live here for their whole lives. They're not part of the fishing industry anymore, so they're the lucky ones, I guess.
It's incredible. They're so quick. They're so powerful. I'll give you the hots here. They are not shy. You've got to try this.
But if the idea of jumping in the aquarium doesn't exactly float your boat, you can always pole feed the tuna, which is a lot of fun, or head downstairs to their underwater viewing area for a look beneath the surface.
So if you don't like the water and you don't like to get yourself wet, you can still get up close and personal with the tuna. Have a look at the size of these things.
And while the tuna are a big part of this marine encounter, it's not all about them. In the middle aquarium, you'll find a growing collection of local species like snapper and Port Jackson sharks. And above deck, a fascinating touch pond which is home to all sorts of sea critters like crayfish, scallops and sea urchins.
He's pretty prickly, that one, but
He's quite prickly. He's moving around. Look at him go.
Mick Dyer is the co-owner of Oceanic Victor and jumped at the chance to help reinvigorate Granite Island as a tourist destination, adding not only the aquarium, but a much-needed cafe.
In my opinion, one of the prettiest, nicest national parks in the state. And it just needed a bit of TLC, and hopefully we're giving it that and slowly bring it back to its former glory.
The penguins must approve because they're slowly but surely returning to the island, a magical sight you can witness on one of their regular guided penguin tours. Head to the Oceanic Victor website for all tour details and to book. The Swim with the Tuna experience usually takes around 2 hours and includes the quick boat trip and the hire of a warm wetsuit, booties and gloves. And take it from me, it truly is an experience of a lifetime and one that you'll be talking about for years to come.
After the break, a garden that gives back.
There's nothing I find more inspiring than taking a stroll through an interesting garden. It's a great way to discover clever ideas to try out at your place, and that's the wonderful thing about the Open Gardens SA program. the focus for February is on productive gardens. So I've dropped into a participating garden at Prospect to meet the Open Gardens SA Chair, Vic Winnell, to find out more.
We know that in South Australia it's a very popular thing for people to come and look in private gardens, and our wonderful garden owners are marvellous. They're a very generous lot of people.
This garden is called The Good Life, and for good reason. It's designed to provide seasonal food and beauty with a thoughtful, layered mix of productive and ornamental plants, which seems to be the direction gardens are going these days.
People have always grown vegetables. I think now there's more of a push on growing them organically, sustainably, and the young people that we find are coming to the gardens now are desperate to learn. So yes, I think now some people have just a productive garden, but quite often it'll be a bit of both.
The key elements for this garden are based on permaculture principles for maximum productivity and sustainability, which include the use of grey water, compost, mulch, and of course, some laying hens.
What a lovely idea to have chooks.
Oh.
As long as they're not cooped up, and this, I reckon they're pretty happy.
I reckon they're very happy. And most productive gardens, I mean, you really have to have a chook or two.
Not a rooster.
Not a rooster, no roosters. What really catches my eye is plants that can perform a double duty. And this is an idea I'll be borrowing. Strung between these two rock fence posts or gabions is a fence line of wire and a row of pears. Two different varieties because you need pollinating trees. One is Beerbosch and the other one is Packhams. And in a couple of years, after careful training like that, it's called a spalliering, these pears will form a green living hedge. Not only looking great with all the pears on, but in winter you'll see all that beautiful bare hair wood. Great idea. Hugh Hunkin is the owner of this 10-year-old garden and has planted close to 100 different plants on his 715 square metre suburban block.
We've seen it happen very slowly, but when you think back to that and you think about everything that's happened over 10 years, it seems quite amazing, really.
Edible plants are scattered throughout the garden and include a number of subtropicals like avocados, bananas, jujube and pecan trees. You've got a lovely Morea, the curry plant there.
That's right, yeah, the curry tree is great for use in Sri Lankan curries and South Indian curries. So
You've got enough there for a few curries.
we do have, we've probably got enough for the neighbourhood, I think.
Over the past 4 years, more than 65,000 people have gone through the gates of an open garden here in South Australia, raising around $400,000 for various charities. This is just one of the many wonderful gardens that we'll be visiting this year on SA Weekender. But in the meantime, hop onto their website for the full program and start planning your weekend to be full of inspiration and beauty.
Next, Hawaii's Northshore hits North Adelaide.
Summer is here, and I've hit the beach to ask a burning question. What kind of food is this?
How do you pronounce this word?
Poké.
Poké? Do you know what it is?
It's a shortened version of Pokemon.
Delicious bowls of Pokemon. They just cut up the Pokemon really small little pieces.
Poke.
Poke?
Yes.
Okay, do you know what it is?
No.
No?
Short for
Poké? Short for Poké? Do you know what Poké is?
Margaret does.
Not everyone can pronounce it, but Poké is a food craze that's taken off from Hawaii all over the world, and the wave has just hit SA. So let's check it out.
A little bit of Hawaii's iconic North Shore has arrived in North Adelaide at Beach Bum. With its bright, funky fit-out, complete with a combi van serving station and bar, one of its specialties is serving up heaped bowls of poké. With chopped raw fish sitting on top of a rainbow of veggies and greens, it's basically a sushi salad.
It's a traditional Hawaiian food. The original islanders would have just caught their fish, sold their fish, and what was left over they cut up and mixed with candle nut and some salt and some local algae. Probably super healthy these days. And it would have been really simple, just had it with rice.
In the 19th century, the Japanese, Taiwanese, Portuguese and Americans added their own twist to the dish, making it truly multicultural. There are literally endless flavour combinations, but the idea is the same.
Well, Amanda, these ingredients look absolutely incredible. How do we make poké?
Well, it's pretty simple, really. You start with some rice, then you might throw in some beans or some avocado, because everyone loves a little bit of avocado.
Yeah, there's a little pickled ginger in there as well.
Yeah, pickled ginger adds that really nice contrast and it's really sharp.
I feel like healthy just looking at it.
Well, that's
Really
the thing,
fresh.
you know, it's really nice and clean to eat. This is just a little shoyu sauce, the sweet soy.
And you've got some absolutely stunning tuna here, and I suppose it works so well because in South Australia we're lucky to have some really great seafood.
And then we like to use a little furikake on there, because I
Don't
really
swear
like...
at me, Amanda.
No, furikake. It's wasabi, toasted sesame. And this is a really spicy sauce, so it goes really, really well with the tuna.
Well, there you have it. That was poké in like a minute. How good does that look?
It couldn't be any easier to make, and by substituting meat or fish for tofu or extra veggies, you've got awesome vegetarian or vegan versions.
Okay, ladies, I've got an avocado and tofu poké on white rice and a salmon on soba noodles.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
You'll find poké popping up like mushrooms all over Adelaide, Hokopo and Electro House in the city, and Balsam in Henley Beach, just to name a few.
I think it really goes with our climate, our love of the beach, our love of fun. We're really easygoing. So I can see a lot of similarities between the culture of Hawaii and here, both islands.
So what's the future for poké?
I don't know, maybe you'll see an all poké vegan dinner at the next Golden Globes.
Some might call poké a food fad, but it's fresh, it's healthy, and it's simple to make, perfect for our South Australian climate and produce. I reckon it's here to stay.
Beach Bum Hawaiian Kiosk is opening a new location in Brighton in the next couple of months. To celebrate, we're giving away a stack of delicious bowls of poké via our Facebook page. So jump online to enter, and good luck.
Coming up, McLaren Vale's newest star attraction. That's straight out of the box. It's the most talked about addition to the Southern Vales in decades. A blue monolith set on a gentle rise amid the vines of the celebrated Darrenberg vineyard. 14 years and $15 million on from when the idea first popped into his head, winemaker Chester Osborne is going to show me around his landmark creation, the Darrenberg Cube. Designed to complement but not replace the winery's more traditional tasting and dining experiences.
So let's get something really iconic and interesting and something that represents the Darrenberg brand really well. And so I went, well, what's our label names are such a puzzle to work out. Wine is such a puzzle to work out. What's the iconic puzzle? A Rubik's Cube.
That explains the shape of the 5-level marvel, but step inside and prepare to be puzzled all over again. The ground floor of the cube is a series of rooms that Chester has dubbed the Alternate Realities Museum. Everything here is in some way connected to wine. The puzzle is to work out how.
Well, most people think when they look at this, they go, oh my God, what drugs do I need to take to absorb all this? I said, no, you don't need any, because actually when you've been through here, you'll feel like you've been on drugs, really. And people think that I must have been on them to get this up, but actually I don't even have coffee or tea. One vice, and that's just wine.
The flower and fruit room is Chester's very entertaining version of scratch and sniff. Only it's more like squeeze and sniff to help identify some of the aromas in wine. What sort of wine would I find?
Granny Smith apple, you'll find quite intense in our Chardonnays, particularly the Lucky Lizard Adelaide Hills Chardonnay, but also the Riesling has a bit.
In a multi-level picture gallery, also known as a stairwell, you'll find more tricks and treats to test your knowledge of the Darrenberg labels. You might spot a laughing magpie or a feral fox. And another piece of the puzzle is navigating a trip to the bathroom. Now, I don't hang around in men's toilets a lot, honestly, but I just had to sneak in and have a look at this one because it is quite something. There's no end to the quirks, and you've got to wonder about what makes this 4th generation keeper of the Darrenberg legacy tick.
My mother was quite eccentric and loved life and travelled all the time and was into lots of knickknacks and bought me stuff all the time. She always dressed me in really loud clothes when I went to primary school, which was really weird because
glad to see you've got rid of that.
Primary school, I was wearing ties and they just thought I was weird. I don't think even people, I didn't realise I looked weird, but now I still don't actually, I don't think.
Now here's a puzzle. Where else would you find a cellar door on the very top floor of a building? This is where visitors to the Cube can taste from a selection of more than 70 wines. But just as impressive is the view.
It's fantastic, isn't it? You can see all of McLaren Vale here, so the sea right across to Cape Jervis and Selleck's Beach there. All the hills are the border of McLaren Vale as well, which Adelaide Hills region's over there. And then the southern suburbs of Adelaide on the northern side there and just over the hills. So it's all of McLaren Vale. You can see all of our amazing sites of vines scattered around the hills here.
We're kings and queens of the Vale up here.
It's great, isn't it?
The magic continues on level 2, where you can upgrade your experience to include a winemaking masterclass, even if you like, in your own personal space. And if you've fallen under the spell of all this mysterious alchemy, why not book in for a blend your own session? But the ultimate indulgence at the Cube has to be the degustation dining. On level 3, in a space decorated with carvings and artefacts from across the globe and the decades, guests can choose a long lunch or a very long lunch with optional paired wines.
I love food and travel around the world selling wine all the time. I'm always eating at the greatest restaurants in the world. And you notice in Adelaide, there's been quite a shift for great dining with McGill Estate, of course, Oran are now #1 in Australia, and Hentley Farm in Barossa, of course. Then there's that really high-end experiential dining that there's a real market for. People want that experience. So we've really gone to the cutting edge. Again, we're playing on the alternate realities theme. Things are not what you think they are when you order them.
The long lunch might be in the special occasion category for most visitors and definitely requires booking well ahead. But a $10 entry fee to the Cube will get you access to the Alternate Realities Museum and the cellar door. Take a look at the Darrenberg website to plan your experience, because there are so many different ways to enjoy the Cube, including just sitting with a glass of wine and admiring all the quirky details of the building itself. Did you drive the architects, did they have a nervous breakdown during this?
Yeah, I can't get onto him. I think he's gone away on long extended leave now.
Well, here's to their work and your great ideas.
Cheers, Brodie. Thank you.
Well, I've had a great day down here at beautiful Victor Harbour, and swimming with tuna was unbelievable. I can't recommend it highly enough. Thanks so much for watching.